If you remember the tear-jerking movie from a few years ago with Julia Roberts called Wonder, this one is set in the same universe. It comes to us from a graphic novel written by the same person that wrote Wonder, and it serves as both a sequel and a prequel to that film. Let's talk about White Bird. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my movie review for the new film White Bird. This is in the Wonder universe now. It has one character that is sort of a through line with both movies, but it was written by, the book anyway, by R.J. Palacio. She wrote the graphic novel for this, and she also wrote Wonder, so we have that connection as well. But look, before we launch into the specifics of this movie and my thoughts on it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a subscriber already, thank you so much. Can't thank you enough for returning to the channel. But if you're not, please consider subscribing and click that notification bell. Also, you could like this video, comment below, all that stuff, of course, helps the channel out as well. So look, I loved the movie Wonder. I thought it was fantastic. You had Julia Roberts, and Owen Wilson playing the parents, and Jacob Tremblay playing the kid. But we have the through line here of the bully from that movie, played by Bryce Gaysar. He has acted in a few things since Wonder, but not too many. I think he was in that one dog movie, A Dog's Purpose, I think it was. But he reprises his role here as Julian, who is one of the bullies of this kid. And really, if you've not seen the movie Wonder, and if you've never even heard of the movie Wonder, I don't think your appreciation for this movie is going to be diminished at all. Like, it's not like you have to see Wonder before you see this, and they sort of catch you up as, you know, Julian's sort of scrolling through social media and looking at some old pictures of him and some of the kids from that first movie, and you know, lamenting about, oh, you know, I regret that I got kicked out of school and blah blah blah. But we're caught up on that. At the beginning of the movie, we kind of see his first day at a new school, where he's sort of, you know, also, you know, kind of being an outcast himself. And he gets greeted by his grandmother on a surprise visit, played by Helen Mirren. And she sits him down and says, you know, look, don't forget, you weren't, you know, you didn't leave your old school willingly. You were kicked out, and, you know, you were a bully to that poor little kid. So let me tell you a story, Sonny, about, you know, bullying and being the best person that you can be. And so that's where we get the prequel portion to Wonder. So that part serves as the sequel to Wonder, but now we get the rest of the film comes to us from World War II, the 1940s in France, which is about to be occupied here. And we see it as it becomes occupied. And they sort of serve as bookends to the film. However, we do have Helen Mirren narrating sort of throughout, you know, to just kind of remind us, the audience, this is a woman telling her grandson about this story. So you have the young kids from the prequel portion, the World War II portion. Ariella Glazer plays Sarah, who is a Jewish girl living in France, and then Orlando Schwartz as Julian, who is a kid with polio, and he kind of hides out Sarah and her family. You have Gillian Anderson here as well, playing Julian's mother, and it's certainly not lost on me that the kid from Wonder that was the bully was named Julian, and then this kid in World War II who has polio and is bullied was also named Julian. I'm sure there's, you know, purposeful connection there. But there's also a lot of parallels with the movie Wonder because of sort of those bullying themes. You know, this kid had polio. In the Wonder movie, the kid was disfigured, and so there's a lot of kind of callbacks in that regard. But again, you didn't have to see Wonder to pick up on that. We got it. But certainly some parallels are drawn. And then, of course, you know, the greatest a-hole bullies of all, the Nazis. We learn about, you know, what's going on there with France and Sarah and her particular family, and that dynamic. So we've seen this type of movie a lot. You know, the hiding out of the families, and, you know, the war starting, and Jews starting to be persecuted as we move forward. So there's not a lot of things here that necessarily are going to set this apart. So we kind of have to break this down in, like, okay, how effective is this movie? And there's no doubt about it, this White Bird is a crowd pleaser of a movie. This is the kind of movie that there's not going to be a dry eye in the house, much like Wonder. I mean, I saw Wonder twice in the theater and once since, and it never fails to make me just weep. And there's a lot of similar themes here, certainly. I think there's going to not be a lot of dry eyes in the house by the end of this film. And part of that is due to the acting by these young kids. Now, I don't know them really from anything. Again, Ariella Glazer and Orlando Schwartz play Sarah and Julian in the World War II era of this movie. And they're just phenomenal. They're such good child actors. I don't know if they come from the world of theater or what, but boy, are they believable, and you kind of see, the fear and all of that kind of stuff is played very, very well. And this was directed by not the person who directed Wonder. It was directed by Mark Forster, who did World War Z, but he also has done some heart-tugging movies as well, like Christopher Robin and Finding Neverland. So he's no stranger kind of to, good child actors as well, good tear-jerking movies, sure. And then you have the score, which I think helps this movie become a success as well, and that is by Thomas Newman. He's done a lot of Pixar stuff. He did the Finding Nemo films, as well as WALL-E, but he's done a couple of James Bond movies. He did Bridge of Spies, which was another World War II movie, and Road to Perdition. He's worked with Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg on a few projects. So look, this movie, while it is probably a little generic in some aspects, is definitely lifted up by some compelling performances and characters, and as well the other things I mentioned, the sweeping score to really bring us those emotions, and look, a great narration, let's face it, from Helen Mirren. Because the fact that it's related to Wonder really doesn't matter, but the fact that she is able to tell her grandson this story, hey, I lived through this, here I am, you need to be better, and stop bullying everybody and blah blah blah, as we connect sort of the themes from Wonder and this film. So look, it's certainly a crowd pleaser. I mean, they're gonna all give it, A's, A pluses as they're leaving the theater with their crying faces. But as a movie reviewer, I have to be a little bit more, sort of subjective in that regard. And yes, this is a story that we've seen many times over, done better, certainly in some avenues. And we get it. Nazis are just the worst, and that is certainly not lost on me nor anybody else. I think we all kind of get that. But what sets this apart is those things like the characters and the young actors portraying them and the other things I mentioned. So look, overall, it's certainly a positive grade. I leave Whitebird with a B, but I think certainly audiences are going to be, cheering at the end as they're drying their eyes. So definitely a crowd pleaser of a film. All right, thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It, and I'll see you next time. Bye.